Well, flu season runs typically from October to October. It's not a calendar year situation.
Right.
That's according to the CDC. So prior to this year's flu season, doctors were worried about what they called a twindemic, with potentially two viruses, the flu and COVID-19, circulating at the same time.
Yeah, we talked a lot about that. Remember, those fears have not played out, and we're taking an in-depth look at local and state data this morning. 41 Action News reporter Dan Cohen joins us live to show us some pretty surprising numbers that we are glad it didn't play out.
Yeah, we are glad they didn't play out. Taylor and Lindsay, good morning to you both. This map behind me is the CDC's flu tracking data for all of the states and the surrounding territories in the United States. It's at a minimal flu level, and we have the numbers locally to prove that as well. It's surprising specialists in the field just how much we haven't seen the flu this flu season. Here's what Children's Mercy in Kansas City is reporting. More than 3,400 and 7,300 flu cases the last two seasons, and so far, they've had none this year. That's right, no flu cases this season. The Jackson County Health Department is also seeing the same trend, reporting more than 9,100 flu cases last year and 30 this flu season. Doctors say they were preparing for the worst with both COVID-19 and the flu, and now there's some relief.
We had no indication that we wouldn't see influenza. I can't remember a time where we haven't seen influenza come during the winter season. It changes a little bit every year, but we always see it. Again, it's just like tax season. And so we were worried last summer and last fall going into this, not knowing what the winter would hold for us. And so that was why, physicians were really trying to make sure that people were getting vaccinated, doing everything that we could to prepare for flu season, because we did not want flu and the virus that causes COVID-19 circulating at the same time.
We showed you local numbers. Now let's zoom out and show you the Missouri Weekly Influenza Surveillance Report. These numbers are publicly available. They had more than 24,000 lab-positive flu tests 2 seasons ago by the 7th week of the calendar year, then more than 55,000 at the same time last year. It's now week 7 of 2021, the most recent numbers that we have. There have been more than 1,300 lab-positive flu tests for the whole season in Missouri up until this point. So, Taylor and Lindsay, this is an unexpected development during the pandemic. Doctors and specialists obviously relieved that we haven't had what they called a twindemic, potentially, with the flu and the coronavirus spreading through the country at the same time.
A stark difference from past years. So, Dan, what did Dr. Schuster say about the transmissibility of the flu versus COVID-19?
Yeah, they transmit the same through respiratory droplets, but what Dr. Schuster told us is that influenza is less contagious than COVID-19. It's less transmissible through those respiratory droplets, and when you see, universal face coverings and social distancing and hand hygiene that have really been in place since the start of the pandemic last year, it's driving those numbers down because it's less contagious than the virus that causes COVID-19.
So, Dan, when you have numbers like these that are so starkly different, you're looking at every possibility of what could be causing this, what's the difference here. One big difference that we've seen this year is schools and how often kids are there, how many kids are there. Is that part of what's playing into this with the lower numbers of flu?
Yes, it came up in my conversation with Dr. Schuster. As a pediatric infectious disease specialist, she told me that flu outbreaks are very common in schools because kids easily transmit and share the virus that causes the flu. But with virtual learning now more prevalent and more students learning from home, and with students that are even in the classroom and districts taking those extra safety precautions, those extra mitigation measures to keep students safe, that's driving flu numbers down as well. And what was interesting is Dr. Schuster went out of her way to praise kids that are making these measures part of their daily routine, wearing a mask to school, practicing hand hygiene and sanitizing their hands. Taylor, you're the father of 3 young boys that are going to school now, and I'm sure that's part of their daily routine too. It's everyone doing their part, and as a result, flu numbers are way below normal compared to past years.
I guess we can partly thank that basket or bucket of face masks we have by our front door for them to grab on their way out to school, and every mom and dad thinking that the same thing this morning of, gosh, I guess that's one good thing about this is flu is not running rampant. Dan Cohen reporting for us this morning. Dan, thank you very much.